Liggins, author of many books, but in particular, we're going to talk about her book about raw foods. Get your raw on. Reach and win in the transition from foods that damage your body to foods that heal you. That's the truth. So go ahead, talk about how you got it. Where the raw foods adventure starts.
Yeah, well, and even when I was introduced to the raw foods in 2012, I have to go back a year from that to to lay the groundwork. So I by this time was just gathering a lot of information, but I was in and out of the hospital myself because I did not have the correct answers. And I learned from a person who was given a death sentence 10 years prior. You know, her doctors told her pretty much go home and get your affairs in order because there was nothing else they could do for her. And when I met her, it was 10 years past that message that they gave her because she then found that candida yeast was an issue with her. So she taught me how
Ah,
to get rid of white rice, white flour, white bread, white potatoes, white milk, white sugar, especially sugar. That is so lethal to our body. We should not be
and
eating
sugar
refined.
isn't. It's the weirdest thing. Even though I try to
Oh,
avoid sugar, it's amazing when
yeah.
you read the back of certain things and all. You say, why is sugar in this? Why are
Yes,
you adding
they just
sugar to this?
because they can because the
That's right.
um, food manufacturers are in with they're in bed with the pharmaceuticals and sugar is what will kill you slowly. It will keep you on meds. It will it's like cocaine to the brain. That
Yeah.
is what sugar
And they're
is,
both
that
white,
lethal.
white
Yep.
cocaine, white sugar. I tell you.
Is that lethal. There was a time centuries ago where you had to have a prescription to have the amount of sugar that we consume as a
Yeah.
nation. A can of soda has 16 teaspoons of sugar in it. That is ludicrous. I was a Pepsi person. Oh my goodness, I love Pepsi because I grew up with my dad loving Pepsi. We weren't
Right.
allowed to drink it. We watched him drink it. We weren't allowed to have it. But as soon as I was old enough to be out on my own, Pepsi was my drink. But
And
man,
my and
I
mine was Coca-Cola when I was a kid until we, one time my family went down south down to see my relatives in Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia. And we stopped at a gas station. And the gas station attendant, he was, putting gas in the car back when they would put gas in your car and all. And he was
uh,
cleaning the windows and he used Coca-Cola. And when
oh
I
my
saw
goodness,
that as a
wow,
little, I'm like 8 years old, 9 years old. I said, wait a minute. And I saw like
wow.
bugs on the window and it was killing us. I said, now, in my little 9 year old mind at the time, I was like, wait a minute. If he's using that and it's killing bugs on the window and cleaning the window, I shouldn't be drinking this. That's like
That
drinking
is so
poison.
smart of you.
And I just said, forget
Wow.
Coca Cola. I drank other sodas at the time,
Plus,
like grape soda and all, but I just said Coca Cola. That's it for me.
yeah, I was gonna say, plus down in the South, isn't that where you guys had Fango and stuff?
Oh yeah, oh I love it.
Purple Fango, orange Fango. You didn't have Coca Cola. That's probably why they used it on the windshields, and it will clean your batteries, your
Oh
car
God,
batteries
yeah,
out too, and the stains in your toilet bowl. It's sad. It's
it
sad
is.
that we are duped into thinking it's okay to put something like that in your body. And I know people who drink like 3 cans a day. It's my. And don't fool yourself to think that um, diet soda is any better. It's
Oh,
worse.
that's the worst.
It's worse. Yeah, because they got to do something to it to make it diet soda. So, but yeah. So back to the story. I was um, in and out of the hospital. And I used to live in Texas, and my best friend of 38 years had moved to Texas as well. But after a while, I had moved back to Chicago. So there was a point in time where I was in ICU. Actually, it got so bad
Oh
my
man.
breathing issue. Yeah, and I would wait till the longest possible moment to go to the hospital because I knew there was nothing they can do for me except give me some antibiotics, which I did not like. But sometimes the pain was just so bad, and so this time it was, the case where they were really concerned about my breathing. So I wasn't like, dire. It wasn't like I was ready to die, but they had to watch me closely. So I was in ICU. And my best friend of 38 years, she was in the hospital in Dallas, and I didn't know it until after I got out of the hospital. I was only in there 3 days, got out, got a message from her that she was going into surgery. She had had previous issues with, um, it ended up being cancer,
Oh,
but I didn't know. She didn't know. The doctor misdiagnosed. Her message to me that she was going into surgery. She didn't know what to do. And she was calling me. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was her POA and I could not be there. POA, power of attorney. And I could not be there for her. And guess what? She did not make it. She did not come off
that's
that
a shame.
surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was so distraught, so distraught. And I said, okay, God, I can be of no use to anyone while I'm in the hospital. So you help me get rid of sarcoidosis because I don't ever want to be in a hospital again. And 1 year and a couple months later, I ran into a person called, his name is Chef Keaty.
The
And
great Chef Keating.
great, yes, he's a gourmet chef, a world renowned gourmet chef. And I do not believe in chance meetings. I do not believe in coincidences. And the way he came across my path it was just no coincidence. No coincidence. I had told God I need to, get rid of this, and he was the person to do so. And it came by way of an email, and he was actually looking for my mom. And his mom and my mom were best friends back in the 60s. And his family and my family, we grew up together. But the last time I saw him, I was only 4 years old, and
Oh
he was
man.
only 7. Isn't that something? And his mother unfortunately died when he was 7 years old. So he found my mom on the internet. She was a private piano instructor and had a website. And so he wanted to find her, talk to her, to learn some more things about his mom. But I'm the one who manages my mom's website. So he ended up talking to me, and we were chatting over time. And somehow this came up. Oh, I think I saw one of his videos. He has many videos out there. And I saw one of his talking about foods or something like that. I don't know. But the topic led to that. And he said, sarcoidosis. He's like, when do you want to get rid of that? That's an easy one. When do you want to get rid of it? I'm like, really? Now? Easy. I've been dealing with this for 12 and a half years. So following his regimen, um, I was ready. And so I tell people, don't until you are ready, as I was, because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Right.
And my friend dying on my watch, so to speak, was that last, straw. And so I just started following all the information he sent me. He was living in LA at the time, and I was in Las Vegas. He would send me information. I would listen to his radio show, and I started eating a fully dense nutritional meal. Like he laid it out, right? At first, all I could do was do some juicing. I'm like, okay, this stuff looks too difficult. And I know that's what trips most people up. They look at a recipe that if it has like more than 5 ingredients or 10 steps, their brain just goes into a fog.
Oh yeah.
And I know
Oh,
this for a fact because that's what happened to me at first too. I'm like, oh, this is too difficult. Let me just do his smoothies and I'll just drink this juice. And then finally I said, no, let me get serious about this. And the minute I did, and I can clock the time that I started eating his full meals, fully nutritionally dense, highly protein filled, just food. It was just is live food, live enzymes. In only 7 days, all symptoms went away.
that's incredible. I mean, that's something that's really got me is reading your book and just knowing your
Yeah.
story. I mean, it's just amazing. But I know there are people listening right now. They're saying, "Well, did um did you take any is there a lot a lot of was there a lot of meat in there? Because you mentioned protein. What did you actually what are you actually
I
taking?"
yeah, I love it when we are brought up to think, and I tell you, um, the chapter in my book that says, what I didn't bank on was that the word raw spelled backwards means war.
That's right.
And I didn't bank on going through this war when I went raw because I'm doing a great thing for my body, but my body was at war thinking, oh, I just need to have, and it wasn't so much meat for me because I had already given up red meat some time ago. Um, but I just love Chicago style pizza. I love pepperoni on my pizza. There were some things I still ate. Um, and so that was one war I was going through with my body. The other war was people being angry at me because I was choosing a new way and
And
because that
that's
new
the
way
key
worked.
thing in your book that struck me. That rather than someone saying to you, "Oh, wow, Terry, this is really wonderful," they were attacking you, which is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. The brainwashing, and talk a
Yep.
little more about that because I have gone through the same thing over the years, being a vegetarian, now being mostly vegan, where people will attack you rather than just like praising
Yeah.
you. But if I was smoking a pack of cigarettes and drinking like a 40, I wouldn't be attacked.
Right. Nope. They'd be right along with you, or
That's
just
right.
bottom line is misery loves company.
Yeah.
And when you're achieving all these great goals, it shines a light back on them on what they're not doing. So the most common human reaction is to latch out and to make you feel like you're the one that's crazy or doing,
Right.
crazy things. And just imagine, Dr. Sabi and how many people over the years called him crazy, and Dick
And that's a
Gregory.
story. And that's yeah, Dr. Say, oh my God, I could do a
Mm-hmm.
whole series on Dr. Say and what they did,
Yes.
and what may have been done to him.
Yes, I mean it's just it's man. So I met this woman who's a doctor, a general physician, and she became my doctor when I was in Columbus for a while. Actually, I introduced her, made her my mom's doctor, and just by default, when I was there taking care of my mom during the pandemic, I used her as my doctor. But she's just a lovely person, wonderful doctor to have. I've met some very nice doctors who will tell you, as a patient, they will tell you, go home, change your lifestyle first,
Right.
and then if it can't, if things don't happen correctly, then we'll look at meds. Now that's how it should be. They're
Right.
not just rushing to put you on meds just because. And so she told me her story of losing 100 pounds on her own, no surgery, nothing. She lost 100 pounds. And so here's, like some of the stories she would tell me, and here's how it would go when someone, it's this passive aggressiveness that is how they attack you. So she would have family members come in town and they would want to go out to restaurants and such, and she would say, oh, well, you know what, I'll drive you there and I'll come back and pick you up, but I can't go to that restaurant because there's nothing there that that I can eat. And then so they're like, oh, you're too good to be with us.
Oh yeah.
Or you know it's like, oh, excuse us, instead of just saying, oh, okay, well, let's pick a restaurant we all can go to.
Yeah. I had a
So
similar. Well, let me tell you this real quickly. Um, Back in 2000 in Denver, when I lived in Denver, at the time, my girlfriend and I, she took me to her church, a church social. It was a picnic.
mhm.
And I went there and I was really thinking about joining this church with her at the time. And so when I get there, You know, they have all the food spread out. You see chicken and all, you can name it. Anything that's going